especially because it's such a big prize pool difference that you get when you're top 2. You're already guaranteed to finish top 4 in that situation, going into the regional championship if you get top 2 in league play.
Well, it's going to be quite a match here to end our North American season. Well, let's get it underway here, a best of 5 with the Sonics in the blue, G2 in the orange. Again, if the Sonics are able to win 2 games, they will clinch a top 2 spot. G2 needs to win a game to clinch top 4, and they need to not lose more than 2 if they want to have a shot at the top 2. They got to win the series as well. We'll see G2 here starting off with some control taken away by Dapper. Puts it in the corner. JNaps has a clear out to Chicago. Now the shot from midfield.
Chicago got him.
There, no, they just catch him forward, and G2 scores.
Chicago beats him to the ball. That's all it was. It was as simple as that. Sathu, when he commits to that as last man back, you've got to make the stop. The other option is to just let Chicago have the ball, try to play defense on the flick or whatever he decides to go for. But Sathu went all in, and it bit him.
G2 score early, and not just given the playoff situation, but also given the power of this Sonics roster and the way they've been able to come back in series where they've been down. It's important for G2 to win early, to get their opponent down, and then to keep hitting them. And they get that first goal here in game 1. Shock now off that back wall. Get it over the top of Chicago, loses control, looks for JNaps, but JNaps already airborne. Will take over control, dumps it into the midfield. There's a shot and a block. Dapper comes up on the goal line. The Sonics defense has been wonderful all season. Gets him out of a sticky situation.
However, Chicago, he's always looking towards that. We saw him strike first, get the first goal of the game. He has been struggling, though, recently with his shooting accuracy. We've seen it throughout the season. He's been getting some good looks. He's scored some good goals. But at times, the accuracy has struggled. So we'll see if Chicago can turn that around in what is the most important series of G2 season so far.
Accuracy going to be the name of the game here. Both sides of the ball. Sathu trying to pick it up the wall. Rizzo takes it away from him, and Shock regains midfield control. Beats 1, looks for 2. Can't quite get it. Chicago beats off the one final challenge, and now Rizzo and JNaps looking for the counterattack. Sathu does get the stop this time. And Rizzo will try to continue this play, but the third man play holds up strong on the counterattack, and Sathu gets another one away on a soft scoring at the drive. Now Dapper sets up for Shock. Carries towards the goal. JNaps be able to answer that one. The ball spending a lot of time here in the midfield. We've seen both teams in each other's boxes once or twice, but generally both teams are struggling to try and gain that extended control.
And part of that extended control, part of that gameplay or game plan is going to come down to demos. When a team does have a lot of control, or a team is just too much to break through on defense, those demos, those well-timed demos, a lot of times are the answer. And you have Rizzo and Dapper, both demo-heavy players, and now Rizzo getting denied on the goal line.
Ooh. Another shot attempt from G2 just high. Rizzo's going to try and slow this down, give his teammates time to rotate around onto this side of the field and pick up control, but they're going to have to do it all the way back in their own corner. Sathu takes it away. The shot is just high above the goal line again. The Sonics have yet to tie things up. 1:47 left to go. We're starting to close out game number 1. Sathu with a pass upwards, but Dapper had already fallen back. Now just half rotates in. Shock will try to challenge as well, but JNaps beats him to the ball. Now Shock up. The dump over the top of the midline. It'll go into the G2 corner. Chicago stalls in the air. Dapper up to challenge him. Pinches it off of his hood, and Shock now in his own corner will have to deal with Rizzo and JNaps. He's able to handle both of them pretty well. Here comes Dapper, though. He was kind of crowded out by traffic, and now he's looking to play some defense. Shock will get it back to midfield. We'll see Sonics breathe for just a moment, but they're still trailing by 1. They've yet to score. They've got to find a way, and they cannot afford another goal. Shock will deny that one right before it becomes G2's second scoring.
And it's just another day at the shooting range for G2. Already 9 shots to just 3 for the Sonics. The Sonics have been held back quite a bit, and this is, again, more of what you expect from G2. Multiple shots, challenging defenses, but the Sonics have done well to stay in this one. See if they can get a tying goal with less than a minute left on the clock.
Ooh. Oh, they've only gotten 3 shots, but they only need 1 to be good right now. Oh, that bounce is brutal. Rizzo will be able to push it through, and that's 2-0 now for G2 on the counterattack.
And this wasn't so much a bounce that was brutal. It was a back pass. You saw Shock He was trying to hit Sathu, probably. He was trying to hit him in the middle, but ended up launching it over everyone's head.
Yeah.
Gave up that goal, so that was a mistake on the offensive end there by Shock, sending it all the way down to his own half. And they had to pay the price.
North American MVP frontrunner with a rare mistake on offense. And it might be the one that cost them game number 1, as they were starting to build a drive. They were starting to gain control for an extended period of time in enemy territory, and they only needed the 1 to tie it up. But now with 12 seconds left, they've got to score immediately, and Chicago gets all of that one. Sathu's got to play some defense, sends it to the corner, and this one should be all she wrote in game number 1. Dapper is going to try and go for the carry. Gets bumped a little bit, but this clock's going to expire, and that'll do it. Sonics denied the goals in game number 1. G2 will take the victory. The ball touches the ground, and they've gotten the 1 win they need for top 4. There's G2.
Yep, they've locked it in. So top 4 guaranteed for G2. So now their vision is going to focus on getting that 3-1 or 3-0 victory. That's how they're going to secure top 2. That's what they're playing for. Sonics, on the other hand, they just need those 2 games. So this will still be something to pay attention to. As the script right now, it's working out for G2.
Yeah, there's so much right on the line here for Sonics. They've got they need the 2 wins, and this is the best start for G2, but for Sonics this is still okay. Again, they don't have to get the win. They can have time to warm up. They get a few mistakes out of the way here, and I'm excited to see what they change here in game number 2. Honestly, it didn't feel like there was anything in particular that was like systemically wrong with this team. It was just 2 mistakes that were punished in full by G2.
Yeah, and it was Chicago on that first goal. We saw Sathu race out to try to get to him, and Chicago just popped it right over his head with a little header play. And then also we saw the mistake from Shock trying to back pass it. It didn't work out. Ended up giving G2 another goal. What I want to see from the Sonics wave is I want to see more demos coming out of Dapper. We saw that work so well for them in previous weeks. When Dapper gets aggressive, they'll pass the ball out into the middle, a lot of times from the corner or the back wall, and then immediately go for that demo. That's also something Rizzo likes to do. So we'll see if either one of those plays come out for either one of these teams, but that's what I want to see from the Sonics.
Game 2. Can the Sonics bounce back and tie up the series? J-Naps with a nice setup off the backboard, but the rest of his team all the way back in their own half. There'll be no follow-up here. So Rizzo circles around, pumps the ball high to the ceiling. Sathu will guide this to the corner and then shepherd it away from the oncoming offense. The challenges are good for G2, though, and they'll maintain control in enemy territory. Here's Rizzo off the wall up against Dapper. Goes for the underplay. Gets it around the veteran. Chicago with an attempt. The Shock's defense doing a good job keeping it out of the box, but struggling to gain control of their own. Dapper off the wall. Sathu back to the wall again. Just constantly playing it onto the edges. And every challenge when they've tried to dribble has been pretty cleanly won by G2 so far. Finally, a touch into empty space. Dapper will advance into this corner. Can he regain control here? No, and he doesn't get the corner boost either. Sathu now to drop it back down towards the box. They're Shocked to put it up high, but he's coming back down already. He's not going to be able to follow his own touch. Now Sathu with a challenge. A miss. Shock's up, though, and he'll get the stop. Let Dapper get set up in net.
When G2 get you in your own half, it's so tough to find the space to get boost. Dapper did so well here to get the clear and the far boost. And this is going to open up an opportunity.
Sathu onto the back wall. Dapper with an attempt. Shock now into the corner up against J-Naps. We'll keep it off to the side and out of his way. There's Rizzo. Stop in 1, leaves it for J-Naps. No, more interference from G2 in the midfield, just trying to gain control. Rizzo now having to play some deflection ball to get it away from his own box. J-Naps with some space, puts it over 1. Shock towards the box once more. Rizzo gets contact before being demolished. You mentioned seeing demolitions become more important in the midfield. We have seen a pretty clean game of Rocket League so far, though, in both games 1 and 2. Only 3 or 4 demos so far.
And not too many. And you expect a lot more from Rizzo and also Dapper. And now the pressure coming out for G2. Dapper back in net.
There's Shock up to Sathu. looking on the counterattack stretch. Oh, and Shock gets a dunk on one. Here comes Dapper looking for a second dunk, but Chicago gets it away, and now Rizzo with an extension down the field. Chicago will chase this into the corner, try to force Sathu back into the net. Nearly is able to muscle him all the way through. Now J-Nap's chasing this. It'll be wide. No, it's in! That's just, the shot was just good, and G2 scores.
And Dapper could have done more for this. You saw him, he chips that ball out, and it goes right to J-Naps. Another option could have been going around the ball, trying to pop it up, go for a ceiling play. But Dapper, that little touch gave the ball away and gave J-Naps the chance. And credit to J-Naps for making the most of that opportunity.
J-Naps, the accuracy, again, we talked about it earlier. Everyone on G2 having a few moments where the accuracy's just not quite been there. And well done from him, though, to make use of an open goal opportunity. Slim margin there. He makes it work. Shock down the middle of the field. Chicago out to Rizzo, and he actually will try to pass to himself as Rizzo falls back. Now J-Naps onto the backboard. No one's really in a good position from the Shock, but no one in a good position to make use of that backboard bounce from G2 either, so no scoring just yet. No shots either. J-Naps onto the backboard once more. Shock's up this time. Chicago's small touch gives it to Rizzo, who gives it back down to Chicago. Shoots far post and in. What a play. G2's up by 2.
G2 is playing inspired Rocket League at the moment. Chicago off the wall. Rizzo give and go, feeds it back to him, and there is the accuracy that you want to see from Chicago. Hits his mark and extends the lead.
128. Game number 1 was a 2-0 affair for G2, and now 2-0 again. Soniqs yet to score. As they push it up on the wall.
Rizzo just got bumped. Rizzo just got bumped there and had the presence of mind to half flip back towards the ball to challenge it. Rizzo playing some quality defense for G2.
Oh, there's a few misses, but Chicago in net makes the save, and now J-Naps looking for the counterattack, trying to get into an empty backfield, kind of lost control of the ball for a moment. That was just the window of time Soniqs needed to get in the way. Now J-Naps up onto the backboard. Here comes Sathu. The defense kind of all amuck, but falling off the backboard. J-Naps makes the stop. Dapper trying to get out to Shock. Everybody just rolling around this thing right now. No one really gaining full control.
Well, it was chaos because, J-Naps went for that save. Rizzo had the read. It was a very difficult read, but he had it. But J-Naps didn't think he even had a chance to get it, so they ended up double committing. But G2 still escaped with their lives.
Onto the sidewall. 30 seconds left. Still needing 2 goals. Sathu keeps it to the air. Soniqs start to push in and look for the first one. Shock keeps it high, but my goodness, the defense from G2 so airborne right now and constantly breaking up any sort of passing attempts. There's a touch under Dapper. Sathu onto the backboard. Can Dapper get it down or out to Shock? Neither will happen as Rizzo gets it back to midfield with 3 seconds left. The touch from Shock on the backboard will burn all the time off the clock, and that's 2 games in a row now for G2. Can they put it into the ground? They sure can. There, G2 2-0 in games 1 and 2, 1 away for securing a top 2 finish here in the North American League.
And that would be huge, especially after coming off the loss that they just experienced to Space Station. To lock in top 2 in this fashion would be remarkable. And G2 is playing some remarkable Rocket League. J-Naps, he jumped on that touch from Dapper, and then the passing play from Rizzo and Chicago. And on top of it, Rizzo was just playing world-class defense the entire game. So G2 is firing on all cylinders. They're looking good. Everyone is playing a part. On the other hand, for Soniqs, we're not really seeing much from Shock, and you expect to see Shock really have a standout performance, especially when he is the guy in the MVP race. You expect him to really come out and shine, but it's been nobody. It's really been nobody for Soniqs that has been really able to get much done at all. The offense has been non-existent.
Yeah, no, they literally, they have not scored yet, and we're going into game 3 with them completely shut out here. G2, they had to win in either a 3-0 or a 3-1, and we said it during the pre-show. They had to score early. They had to be aggressive if they wanted to take on Soniqs here, and they've done exactly that. This is the key game, though. For the Soniqs, they could lose 2 games. That was fine. They just have to win 2. They don't even have to win the series, just win 2, and this is always the game where things become the most difficult for a team that is up by 2. They've got to close it out here. So things not over here for the Soniqs. We'll see how they do as we move into game number 3. And man, the best thing for them is that if they could break this drought immediately. If they could get the first goal, I think we've got a series, and I would believe we'd see a game 4.
We saw a pinch off the wall from Rizzo and Chicago. We're seeing so much confidence from these guys, but you're right, Wave. Something has to happen for the Sonics. Their entire season has led up to this point. To finish top 2 would be astonishing. No one had them up here, and all that pressure now is going to weigh on them.
They have such a wonderful room for error here, but they've kind of used up all of that room at this point. They've got to play perfectly for at least 2 games. They've got to win 2 games, don't have to win the series. It's such a crazy situation. It rarely comes down to something like this, just straight up game differential. Dapper over the top of 1. Sathu trying, gets it back to Chicago as they look to, oh my goodness, Chicago gets it underneath. I think he got some help, and they got the first goal.
Welcome to the RLCS 2020 Dunkathon. Chicago headlining it right here with that one. Oh my goodness.
That was beautiful. And that's scary. I'm so scared if I'm a Sonics fan here. Again, that first goal to kind of change the tone of the match. So important. The momentum for G2 continues just to steamroll forward. Chicago looks for another shot, and Dapper gets it away. But Chicago looking to close out the season the way that they started this season, up on top.
Yeah, and on top of putting that shot on target, he stole another corner boost. It spawned right underneath him. So the Sonics stuck to small pads. Sathu's the only player with boost. Does get the stop and was able to get that. So we'll see if the Sonics can break out, but right now it's tough. Good patience from Sathu, not panicking in that moment. Not panicking there allowed them to get this ball into the G2 half.
Sonics still looking for that first goal. Sathu in the midfield. Chicago beats him, gets a nice piece of the ball all the way onto the backboard. Dapper now up, beats Rizzo into the air, but JNap's there with a counter. Chicago will turn around in his own corner and try to advance forward. Sathu wisely keeping it to the ground, but Rizzo, the pace of this ball, it's just ping-ponging, bouncing back and forth between the teams. No one really able to keep it on their hood. No one wanting to slow it down. A double commit out of net. Dapper now alone on the retreat. Chicago will look for Rizzo. Rizzo looks for Sathu, though. Now neither player really on the same page. And now here comes JNap's looking to pressure him in net. Shock makes the stop. Now Rizzo into the corner. Sathu through 1. Chicago back out near midfield. Sathu and Dapper both on this ball. Push into the corner. A demolition and a stop from Chicago. Rizzo will play it back down. JNaps will respawn, and G2 still perfect on defense.
We're getting into that shutout sweep territory, which would be historic, and that's not how you want to end your season if you're the Sonics. You're going to have to dig deep, figure something out, and find out how to break this G2 defense. Woo.
There have only been 2 perfect sweeps in the history of the Rocket League Championship Series. G2 would become the 3rd team to do it. And there's still 1 minute and 50 left, though, for the Sonics to score, and that 1 goal would tie things up and give them an opportunity in overtime. Here comes Chicago through the air. The pass out to his teammate Rizzo. What a read from Sathu. Gets in the way, gets the boost too, and control. Sathu, despite immense pressure, manages to emerge with so much for his team. And now back down, he'll take a shot. It's just wide, and Rizzo had the stop either way. Rizzo now, the extension over to Chicago. Looks for the flip, tries to push it into the box. But Chicago, the Shock rather, will get it out into the corner. Now Sathu, over the top of many, just trying to give his team some breathing room. 1:12 left to go. They shoot upper 90. It's blocked by JNaps. A savior medal to keep the perfect sweep going.
And that was the perfect shot from Sathu. I was certain that ball was going to hit the back of the net, but JNaps denies him. G2 is unbreakable on the goal line.
Can they keep it up in the final minute? 50 seconds left. JNaps through the air. Floating behind it, trying to get it. Shock stops it, but it's just not quite enough still, and Dapper has to help. Now Sathu up against Chicago. Pinches neutral. JNaps back to Chicago. Back in the midfield. Here's Rizzo. Shot up for 90, and it's through! 2 up now for G2.
What a shot from Rizzo. JNaps to Chicago. Chicago puts it up for Rizzo, and Rizzo, he doesn't go for the double tap. He goes right for the net. And that was in the upper 90, as perfect as you can place it. G2 in the driver's seat, looking for that top 2 finish.
JNaps also saving that first goal for Soniqs and looking for a third. They've got it through. They're going to sweep them. Can they hold on to history, though?
And that's all we're going to really look for in this one, Wave, because G2, they respond to adversity. They lose to Space Station. They start off, 5-0, lose their last 3, and now they get another kickoff goal. They're just raking it in.
Oh, it's tragedy. This poor Soniqs here. The season has been so good, but you can tell the tilt's starting to get to him just a little bit there. It's so frustrating to have been this close to securing a top 2 finish and to have it ripped away. At this point, down by 4 with 22 seconds left.
And not only are you going to lose this and lose top 2, Wave, but you are getting scored. It's 5-0, and you're going to be in the history books of getting perfectly swept.
There's still 14 seconds for a crazy goal to go in. This is always the hardest part of the perfect sweeps. But it was Denial back in Season 3, and I believe Vitality in Season 7. G2 here in Season 9, I believe, will become the 3rd team to get a perfect sweep as long as they can just hold on for 10 seconds here. Over the top of 1, here comes Dapper trying to ruin the perfect stat. Rizzo's last line of defense. He gets it off to the edge. Chicago will send it to the ground. Shock pushes it on the edge, and there they go. G2 finally do it, and wow, they'll finish as one of the top 2 teams in North America.
And they finish with style. 5-0. A perfect sweep. G2, they're here to play.
They certainly are. And man, my question is, did this change up? Was there any golden striker last minute changes of the order with this series here? 5 goals let up there at the end for Rizzo and Chicago both scoring 2. And all players on both sides of the ball here were in the running for those medals, for those awards at the end of the season here. This is not the way you wanted to go for Soniqs. And we saw back in, I think it was Season 3, actually. It was Season 3 or Season 4, Pashy in the very last game of the season scored 5 goals and rocketed his way to Golden Striker. I'm interested to see if something similar happened here. We'll have to ask the statisticians.
We'll have to wait and see. And also there was a season, I think, where Cookser beat K-Dop out for Golden Striker by a single goal in the final week of league play as well. So we've had multiple races come down to sometimes the final game, as we might see here. But what a series from G2. These guys come out. They were playing inspired Rocket League from the kickoff. And honestly, it seemed like the best defense was a good offense. G2 was attacking pretty much the entire time. But then there were even some moments where they were caught back. And you remember that save from JNaps. It was a crazy shot from Saku, heading right into the upper 90, and JNaps knocks it out.
Placement.
I couldn't believe it.
Oh, it was so beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful stuff there from G2. They played like a world-class team there, and they will finish as one of the top 2 teams in North America heading in to our regional champions. And they did it in style. The third team ever to get a perfect sweep over a team here in league play. Wonderful stuff. Cannot wait to hear it from the rest of the desk. Let's head back to Leaf and Gibbs.